This tote bin brooder that I use right here, it actually might be the ultimate chicken setup on the cheap. So, you think you want chickens so you can have in your backyard. All right, welcome back to Surviving in Alabama. We're gonna be talking about chickens today. See my free rangers back there? See, they're out there running around in the yard. They're eating bugs and scratching and doing all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna talk about baby chicks today. Stay tuned. I'm in the process of moving my chicks out of my house. They're going out to a transition pen. So before they're not big enough to go out on their own. So I'm gonna get a transition pen. So I'm taking them out of my house. They've been in my house for like 2 weeks. It's time to go outside, but they're still on training wheels. So if you have thought about getting chickens and you went into Tractor Supply or the feed store or wherever you went to, or you ordered them offline. So what are you gonna do? First thing you gotta do is you gotta have a brood box. They have to be warm. They have to be, they obviously have to be fed and watered. They gotta be safe because predators, they will pick a chick off. If any predator can get to them, a house cat, they'll get them if they can. So like I said, I got these chicks and I've kept them in the house. I should have filmed that, but I didn't. I've kept them in the house in there for about 2 weeks. And my wife is ready for them to get out of the house because they were in my living room. So if you're thinking about getting chicks, the first place they gotta go is a brooder box of some sort. It doesn't really matter what it is. It just needs to be safe, warm, and a place where they can eat, and it's gonna be clean. All right, I'm gonna pull up in there so I didn't have to carry it. All right, so I'll talk about my brooder box. I've got a couple of these because sometimes I get large amounts of chickens, and I think I've got 3 tote bins just like this, or very similar. So what I do is, see, I cut half the lid right here. I just cut a hole in half the lid. So what I do is I just cut a hole in half the lid. So this half over here, I keep it solid because it holds the heat. So I've got a light bulb in there, and that's where I get my heat from. So this area right here is pretty warm. And so, but it has to have air. If they don't have air, they're not gonna make it. So it has to be able to vent air. So this right here, I just it doesn't really matter what you use, but this is just some hardware cloth right here. And I have it, the holes are small enough. Had to stop for a second because some guy was going down the road with a loud Mustang. So anyway, so I have to have the holes small enough so a cat or, a raccoon or anything like that can't reach their paw down in there to grab a chick. So you need to want the small squares. So that's what it looks like from afar. And then I've got a light bulb. See, I just got a little piece of scrap wood with a light socket. And then I've got an incandescent light bulb. I have a place for them to perch. And all it is just, it was a 2x4 with some scrap woods screwed on it. And I use that to hold their water. So I take this right here, which is empty right now, but I take the water and I set it right there to keep the wood shavings they'll kick the wood shavings up, and you want to keep their water as clean as you can. It doesn't always stop it, but it sure helps keeping it elevated. And then I've got a brick right there that I put see, they buried their food right there. They'll eat it and then they'll kick shavings over it and they'll bury it, but that's okay. So this incandescent light bulb is real warm. So that's the first thing right there. So you need somewhere, it doesn't have to be this tote box. This is just what I do. Other people you can look up online, they do all kinds of stuff. But this right here is small enough that I can take it in the house, or you can put it in your garage or whatever, and they're away from everything and they're safe. Because I don't want any dogs or cats or anything like that trying to get at them. And so I want to keep them close. But today, they're graduating from my house and they're going outside, but with help. They're kind of like in the halfway house. They're not in prison in the brooder box in the house. Now they're going to the halfway house where they're outside, but they're going to get a bigger spot and they're still safe, warm, and dry, clean, all the things. But before I get to that, they're waiting on me. Had to water my plant starts too. Hey, look, this right here is cantaloupes I got from Hoss Tools, and they come up good. These are Roma tomatoes. These are some peppers right here. And these are eggplants. And they're not all coming up, but a few of them are. All right, so let's get busy with the chicks. I know you didn't come here to see my my plant starts. Now this rabbit pen right here, see, it's my other rabbit pen. This rabbit pen right here, they have been using it for a nesting box. And if you open it up right there, look, there's some eggs. But they're gonna get a rude awakening. They're gonna have to find a new place to nest. So I gotta clean all this out, and then I'm gonna shut this door, and they're gonna have to find a new place. And that's okay. They needed to find a new place anyway. So she's going in there to lay. So I just plugged it up. See that light bulb right there is working. All right, we're gonna leave her alone for a second while I'm getting ready. And if she comes out, that's fine, but she might wanna go in there and lay. So while she's in there laying, I'm gonna set up something else. I'm gonna set up something else for them to come lay in. One thing you gotta learn about free ranging chickens is if you have them in a chicken tractor, they're gonna lay in the same spot all the time because they don't have anywhere to go. And I do have some chicken tractors here, and I'm trying to get some bantams to put them in there. So anyway, long story short, but these guys that free range out here, they'll lay in the same spot sometimes until you mess with them. Then they're gonna find another spot, and then sometimes a chicken will come along, and they're gonna get jealous of that spot, and they'll go start a new spot. And then you just don't know where that is. So I have nesting boxes for them, and sometimes they use them, sometimes they don't, but they have a real bad habit of getting up in this rabbit pen and going up in that dark hole because they like a dark place. And they just took it over, and they've been laying in it for, gosh, maybe at least 6 months, if not longer. While we're waiting on that, I'll show you what I'm gonna do for an alternative nesting spot for them. Okay, I got 2 tote bins here. I've had these for a while, so you already know that I like totes. So I'll use it for the brooder box. So I got 2 tote bins here. Nothing fancy. All I did was cut a hole for them to get in and out. So I'm gonna give you a chicken tip right now. This is my experience. Chickens like to go up in a dark place, so they like to get under something or in something to lay. So it's not normal, at least my experience is they're just gonna lay one where the sun is shining on it. So what they want the dark. They want to get up into spot to get away from everything. I don't know how instinctive that is about to get away from predators or whatever, but that's what they like. They get up in a dark spot. So I got this old pallet right here. I just set these 2 boxes on here. So the hole is facing east. So that's east and that's west. Sun rises in the east. See the sun? So we got one hole facing east and the other hole facing west. So the tip that I'm giving you is, because they like to get up in a dark spot, I got one hole facing that way, one hole facing this way, in the direction and the opposite of the sun. So in the morning, the sun's gonna be shining in this hole. So the morning chickens that lay in the morning will probably want to go over here and lay in this one because the hole is facing west. So in the morning, they'll come up and get in the dark. And then the afternoon, when the sun is facing the other way, the sun is facing this way, then the chickens that lay in the afternoon will come up in here because in the afternoon, this one will be dark. So I know I have never heard anybody ever talk about that, but I feel like that's pretty universal about them wanting to get up in a dark spot, and that's just my solution to it. Because if you have chickens long enough, you'll definitely get tired of going on an Easter egg hunt, because you want them to lay in the same spot all the time, or at least mostly the same spot, so you can go get your eggs and go on about your day. Well, if you got to go Easter egg hunt all the time because they're always constantly moving, or your spot that you set up for them is not good, and I've had this happen to me where I've spent money, bought a great a store-bought expensive nesting box, and they don't use it. So I found that places like this, like these tote bins, seem to work. Oh yeah, there she is right there. I think if I picked her up and put her in that other nesting box, I'm gonna mess her up. So I think I just need to wait a little bit. So I'll come back to you. Remember I told you how curious they are? So I just set that up a few minutes ago, and now they're already looking at it. And this chicken is not happy. I was in here messing with this, putting some new shavings in here, and she didn't like it at all. So what I did was I got fresh bedding in here for them. I have a flat spot. See that board right there? I got a flat spot for a water to set. And then over here, and so this is really a rabbit nesting box, because the rabbit will live in here, and then when they have babies, they'll come up in here and they want to be dark too. And so I put a light socket in there. This has been in there for quite some time, but that is an incandescent bulb, and it will keep it warm inside this box. And those chicks, when they get cold, they can come up in here and get warm. And she never did lay yet, so she's wanting to lay. So maybe I can just leave her alone for a minute. If you have chickens long enough, you'll start to notice that they have their own personalities. So I don't know if that's the chicken, or it's just I've been keeping chickens so long that maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. So, whoa. Sometimes they'll squirm out of your hand. These guys, see, they got feathers, see right there? They're gonna be just fine. So we're putting them in their new home, and this is gonna be their halfway house. And see, this right here, this is black spot. And see right there? Look at their wing right there. So, best of my knowledge, this is for sure a little hen. So, black spot's got some pasty butt going on, so let's see if we can handle that. But this is gonna be their new home. They got water in there, it's clean bedding, clean shavings. Now they're eating, they should be all happy. Now it's time to lock them up. I gotta get me a latch for that. Thanks for coming along today for Chicken 101. Hey, they gotta have a place that's dry, clean. They gotta have food, water, and warmth. You got those things, and they gotta have safety, excuse me. They have safety. Can't have a cat, dog, anything getting to them, whatever. But this is my setup. That's my brooder box tote. And maybe you can get some chickens. It's super easy. It's not very expensive. I don't buy all the expensive stuff that people sell. When I first got into chickens, you know, I would spend a whole lot. I've just learned that you can get by on a little. And they're a lot of fun to keep. They're easy to keep. And, you know, you get the fresh eggs out of it. So it's a win-win. Everybody's happy. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time, and God bless. Now she's jumped up in here.